Aldrin, it was really dramatic testimony, and dramatic is really an understatement. I mean, Phumla Williams was basically bearing her soul about what this relationship with Faith Muthambi did to her.
Well, certainly, I think your first description in the intro about a chilling testimony, and that is exactly what it was. And you could even sense how eerie it was in the room when Phumla Williams, just towards that 10-minute break that the Deputy Chief Justice asked that we should take, how she was trying to hold back her emotions. It's emotions filled with anger, frustration, as well as pain that she endured under the leadership of Faith Muthambi. At some point, she even speaks about this woman, this minister, who I realized was the enemy of the state, and she was trying to steal from the state. And I just want us to take a listen to a part of the testimony that she gave about how she felt that this relationship, this strained relationship between herself and Faith Muthambi, has opened up old wounds dating back to when she was an ANC activist. And just take a listen to this.
Minister Muthambi had ripped my scars of torture, completely. I think when I was writing this letter, the effects of my torture were back. Chairperson, I was no longer sleeping. I had nightmares. I was reliving my situation. My facial twitches were back. I had panic attacks. I saw torture going through my body again. I never thought in this government people can do such things. I was tortured for weeks, and Muthambi did the same thing to my body. And that's why I wrote this letter, as a way of trying to get her to understand what she was doing. One, she was cheating the state, because basically I was being paid because she wanted that procurement at all costs. She wanted to steal at all costs. That removing of all those functions, it was a ploy to remove the finance and procurement away from me. They knew that they have removed me from doing cabinet work. I was going to be a nuisance, and they decided that the procurement and the finances must be removed from this woman. And that's basically what they did. I had to contend with those scars back in my system. I couldn't say to anyone what I was going through. I had to be assisted by colleagues at work, Mr. Simakane and Zukiswa, who made it their problem that every morning they come and check on me. My sister had to move in my house because at that point I was scared of going to bed because I thought the nightmares will come back. I started sharing those keys of my torture.
Powerful testimony there from Phumla Williams. And of course, the context, Aldrin, is that she was an ANC activist. She's part of the June 16, 1976 generation, and therefore part of the torture she describes comes from that period when she was an ANC activist. But it's easy for someone to look at this as a mere, labor relationship that has gone wrong without really seeing it for what the commissioners and perhaps the evidence leaders are trying to show here, the impact on institutions. Is that what they were trying to achieve?
Yes, and you know, with this testimony from Phumla Williams, this one specifically, and from the testimony that we heard from Phumla Williams on Friday as well, where she spoke about how Themba Maseko was banging his head on the table. It really gives us a window into the personal impact this state capture project has had on people who work for the state. But this is what the evidence leaders are trying to prove, is that people were being frustrated inside the system. The system was being manipulated to such a point that the likes of Phumla Williams, at some point she said that she handed in a notice of early retirement because she couldn't take the pressure anymore. And as she detailed here as well, is that this was done to get her away from this procurement system. And the procurement system, of course, means that the Gupta brothers and this entire state project would mean that they'll get their hands onto the coffers of the state. And on Friday, on Thursday, there will be a witness from Treasury who will testify about how 55 million rand from the GCIS coffers were taken to this TNA breakfast, as well as one other Gupta-linked company, and how exactly that was done.
And so, Aaron, also happening before we get to that Treasury witness will be this whole decision around whether or not to allow for cross-examination of some witnesses, including Feki Mento and Mcebisi Jonas.
Yes, and remember that these two witnesses have implicated the likes of AJ Gupta as well as Tony Gupta, whose other name is Rajesh Gupta. I see that's the name that they're using in the affidavit, but that is Tony Gupta, as well as Duduzane Zuma as well. These are the people who have been implicated. Quite interestingly, though, is that I see the Times Live is running with a story that although the former president, Jacob Zuma, as we've heard from all these witnesses who have had personal interactions with the former president, he is saying that he will not be cross-examining these witnesses because he doesn't feel that he has been criminally and ethically implicated by the state capture evidence that has been led so far.
That's interesting, isn't it?
That is very strange, because you have Mcebisi Jonas, who speaks about a personal phone call. You even have Themba Maseko as well, who speaks about this interaction that has happened with the president, where the president knew exactly what was going on. For instance, Themba Maseko getting that phone call and the president saying, "Go and help these brothers out."
In fact, Themba Maseko is so confident of that particular fact. He's speaking on the fix with Karima Brown has dared that anyone can go and check the record in as far as the communication is concerned. They will find that record of that phone call.
That the phone call did actually take place.
On his way to meeting
the other strange thing is that why hasn't that been made public? And this probably points to this investigation by the Hawks, and that's why you have one of the major generals from the Hawks who's been implicated also in the state capture investigation by the likes of Jonas, who have said that they tried to kill the investigation into state capture. Now we hear that she has been suspended.
Very quickly, we're out of time, Aldrin. Any indication? I mean, if my name was coming up in a context like that, I'd be up in arms to try and prove my case. Any word whatsoever from Faith Muthambi?
Nothing as yet. We'll have to wait and see whether she will have to have her day in front of the state, the Commission of Inquiry. But the other thing is that already on Friday, Faith Muthambi was already implicated, but there's no indication whatsoever that she is asked to cross-examine.
Yes, because that is the process.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Aldrin Sampier, thank you so much for watching that for us. ENCA's Aldrin Sampier watching the State Capture Commission of Inquiry for us.